morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever, whenever, however you all are. Welcome to Clobby's Comic Shop issue number 49. Guys, how's it going out there? You guys having a good Friday? I'm having a good Friday. I've had a very productive Friday, and it's been good. It's been diabolically huge. I mean, absolutely diabolically huge. And I see some faces in our chat. What's up, guys? How you doing? What's up, Depot 101? D-Bud Martin, the Disciple of Rock. What's up, Disciple? How you doing, buddy? Now, good talking to you earlier. We got our stuff that we're working on, you know. What's going on? Hey, Penny, what's going on? Stephen M. Kellel. Hello, sir. Nice to see you here. Hey, my guy, Steve Mitchum. Say, everyone, heading to the gym, but saying hi, smash the like button, have a great stream, clobber run. Oh, we're going to clobber on, and it's going to be great. Just for our friend. Ain't that right, Steve? Get your workout in, buddy. All right, good to see you here, man. Depot 101. YouTube is weird. It didn't notify me of the Star Show. Dude, YouTube is bipolar, man. I'm telling you, I don't get it anymore with YouTube. Like, I put my first video in like a few months yesterday, and it bombed hard, like hugely hard. Yeah. No, most people don't really say that about their own stuff, but hey, when your own stuff does bad, you gotta say it. And to be fair, maybe some of you don't even know it came out. And for those of you who do, which I know a few of you did, thank you for watching it. It seems like, you know, for the 5 people that caught it, they liked it, which is great. But yeah, a lot of people had no idea. So put this on your watch later tab. I posted in the chat. This talks about the Spider-Man, the animated series debacle. That's a whole can of worms, per se. Oh, look at that. It's my guy, Keely Chow. How you doing, Keely Chow? Roll Tide. I see deep layers. I just got back an hour ago from the local board game con. Nick and Pound. Do you guys know everything about a superhero named Grendel? Demoed a board game for it. It was a, I know if you're talking about the Matt Wagner written Grendel, I've read only a few stories. I read one was Matt Wagner, sorry, and the Grendel crossing over with the Shadow, which I would absolutely recommend. I haven't really read the actual straight up regular Grendel stories, though I should. Shame on me for not. That's my fault. I own that. I should, though, because Matt Wagner is fantastic. He's doing his Dracula Volume 2 with Kelly Jones, and they're really on to something absolutely great there. And it really is, like, awesome to see a guy like Matt Wagner still killing it after all these years. Seriously, I love Matt Wagner. He's one of the guys who does the writing well. He does the artist well. He's my kind of guy. He's my kind of guy. What's up, the Comic Relief Crusader? Yeah, take your time, man. As long as you got it, that's honestly all that matters. I want to know that you got it. Because, you know, not everyone who even gets a notification is going to watch every single video. A lot of us are subbed to 800 channels too, but I still get all the time, I don't get the notifications. I'm sorry, guys. There's just nothing I can do about that with YouTube, but thank you for being here. Nice to see 10 of you in here right away, early and ready. Enjoy Friday night. And we also got Fenrir the Ice Wolf. Sir, how are you doing?
Hey there, Nikki. How's it going? I'm doing fine as dandy.
Oh, is that so? I'm glad you're here, man. Thank you for being here early, too. Look at that. Leading by example. Fenrir the Ice Wolf.
Yeah, it is. I kind of feel like I owe you guys this one since I couldn't make it to the last couple meetings.
No, dude, this is awesome that you got here when you did. I genuinely appreciate that. And it seems like also this week, definitely this is one of those weeks because, you know, 2025, we're almost halfway into the year. It feels like it's been like a hit and miss, not in terms of like good and bad, but more like a hit and miss of news week to no news week. And this week, the hits just kept coming. I was just like, whoa, things coming here, things coming there, things coming there. Oh, hold on. Look, oh, yeah, it's just everything's been happening. Have you noticed this is a very news-heavy week?
I mean, yeah, it's been going stupid. I mean, it's mostly stupid crap that honestly it's ridiculously funny to laugh at, but yeah, it's pretty much been plateau.
Well,
I mean, there's some interesting stuff like the whole thing about Spider-Man. We'll talk about that later, but yeah, not that much, not really much.
Well, see, for me, I kind of disagree. I feel like there has been quite a bit. So, guys, for those of you who do not remember, we'll get into
I mean, if we compare it
F451.
with last year, where we were getting stupid crap left and right,
Oh, true.
constantly, every freaking second, something even more ridiculous than the last. It's been pretty quiet this year.
Hmm. Well, I'm not even looking at it from the perspective of bad. I'm looking at it just for anything in general. And there is a few things, a few nuggets that went
Oh
under the
yeah,
radar.
deeply 101. Of course, there's background sound. I'm watching South Park right now.
Well, you should probably have South Park Not Air in the background. I appreciate that you watch that show, but when it's showtime, my dude. We
Uh,
got an audience to maintain, and I think the audience would agree with me in unification that they would like our focus. Zoom. Anyways,
right there.
are
Sorry.
you doxing yourself? Were you about to dox yourself? You almost doxed
Huh?
yourself. Yeah, that noise is getting
No,
distracting, dude. You gotta do something about it. It's getting really distracting. All
no,
right.
I wanted to do something smart right now, but
Well,
crap.
you
Fucking
gotta
camera.
mute your mic until you get your situation solved. Anyways, I'm gonna introduce Pablo.
Howdy ho!
How's it going,
Hey,
bud?
is that my show?
It
I
is
think
your
that's my
show.
show.
You have a towel, is what you have. You have a towel.
Wait, you're telling me all these years you've been doing Towley? I always thought it was Mr.
Nope.
Hanky.
Yeah, I was doing Mr. Hanky, but for
Oh
some reason today
yeah,
sounds
you
like
are the
Tolly.
hanky. You are the hanky. Well, how's it going, Pablo?
Whew, what a crazy week, I will say.
Mm-hmm.
There has been some interesting things happening on my country that, yeah, fun stuff.
What is an interesting stuff happening in your country, dude?
So
It's like
go
I mean,
ahead,
Yeah,
finish that, Fender. Go ahead.
it's freaking South. It's the freaking South, man.
that you're right. Strangely enough, I'm a couple of, well, not a couple, like some kilometers from
Right?
the Ecuador,
Crap,
from the middle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
crap. Yeah, I see it.
Yep,
I
I
didn't
saw
see
it.
anything. I didn't see anything.
He was
Yeah,
Honestly, I
showing
can't.
his South Park.
yeah. Rob Reiner, the greatest fat ass to ever live.
Yep.
I didn't see nothing, but to be fair, I'm not paying attention to that. I've got my eyes elsewhere. I'm getting queued up here. So, Pablo, I'm glad you could be here, sir.
Last time.
What?
All right, last time. Fair enough. What's up, Mr. Grant Gregory? He just finished Irredeemable by Mark Waid. Great comics, shitty ending. He says, well, it's Mark Waid. He's always been a good writer. But if there's one thing I've learned with Mark Waid in the last 10, 15 years, it seems like his endings seem to have become more of a falling apart thing. But it's unfortunate because he's so crazy, but yet he's so good at what he does. But that's usually how that happens. The crazy tends to mix with the good a lot of times. There's exceptions to the rule, and quite a few of them. I'd even go on to say it's probably not even the exception. We just don't hear about the sane ones talking because maybe they're just too busy living out the world, being sane, like Matt Wagner, being brought up by Deeple earlier about the Grundle. So, anyways, I think we should just get
To this
straight
day,
in. Hold
there
on.
are several stories of Mark I do not believe he wrote.
Well, we could get into that for another day. We actually have a very topic heavy
Kingdom Come being the
show.
top one.
Yes, but we got a topic heavy show we got to get into, and that's what's going to be the focus of. Because usually we don't have this many things that
Okay,
go
can I
on
say one
about.
last thing though?
Maybe.
Okay, deeply. Yes, my camera almost betrayed me, but you still did not see anything. You cannot find me. You do not know me. That is not my face. That is the face of my henchman slave.
All
Yeah.
right.
And yes, he is blind.
For your information, if you are actually trying to dox Fenrir, you don't use a photograph of his face. You use his dong. That's the one that he's showing here.
Oh, I did not need to hear that. Oh, look, the Barbarians here by Crom. What's
Oh,
up? Andy, how you doing, Andy? Okay, we're gonna get into the Spider-Man the animated series thing. That way, maybe Caster can show up and we can talk F4 after number 51 because this Spider-Man news is quite a something.
Wait, news?
You know about
Let
the
me-
animated series. Do you not know, Pablo? I posted this morning in our group message.
Dude, this is the perfect point just to explain it to me.
Okay, so there was announced a comic because remember the cliffhanger from Spider-Man the animated series back in 97, 98 about the
Yeah,
real Mary
Madam Web
Jane?
is about to take Peter for a trip. There was a whole season planned where he will find Mary Jane in another dimension and everything. And budget
Go
was
on.
not friendly for them.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, we all
well,
remember the
let
episode
me-
where he met
hold on.
Stan Lee.
Let me get into this here. So, Marvel decided to not only announce this, they're doing a follow-up on the story in a mini-series comic book. And I'm thinking, okay, so they're going to resolve that cliffhanger from almost 30 years ago. Okay, I can respect that. Now the catch is you don't have the key writer John Semper who did like 95% of the writing. I think he did like most of the producing too for the original animated series. And however, there is a silver lining if you see it that way. And I can see why some would not see it that way. The silver lining, in my perspective, is that, well, J.M. DeMatteis is writing it. And why does that matter? Because J.M. DeMatteis is a legend amongst legends, gave us Kraven's Last Hunt. He's written every character, then some, for Marvel and DC. So the guy's got a repertoire. He's still very successful to this day. He has successful Kickstarters that he does. He's not a has-been. He's not washed up. He's still, and he understands Spider-Man. And one of the people who watched my video, who I didn't recognize the comment, said, what I like about this, we have a writer who's very pro Peter and MJ. That's the one big silver lining. And, I thought to myself, yeah, that guy's got a point. And I didn't think about that when I recorded my video and, unleashed my thoughts into the wild. He's got a point. Like that's a big thing. And that's a big thing considering, Marvel has done whatever it takes to not have these two together. Granted, it's yet another story.
Despite the fact that that's what makes them money.
Yes, and also it's not the 616. It's nice to have this type of writer. So I'm going to get into this essay from John Semper, and then Pablo, I'll have you unleash your thoughts, and then I'll have Fenrir unleash his thoughts right after. So here are the words of Mr. John Semper Jr., aka the writer. Fenrir, please turn your microphone off.
Oh crap! I thought I did.
You're not.
Fenrir, those drugs, real good, man. You need to get me some.
If the drugs are going to get in the way of the show that much, then we got to address that. So, and you know what I mean by that. So please handle it correctly. Anyways, I got a text message this morning from my good friend Matt Dunford telling me that Marvel is continuing my Spider-Man animated series in comic book form in a 4-issue limited series called Spider-Man 94. Since I will no doubt be asked it by fans of the series, no, I am not involved with this comic book, and no one at Marvel approached me to be involved in any way. Matt's text message was the first I heard of it. The internet tells me that J.M. DeMatteis is the writer of the comic book, and I have nothing but the greatest respect for him. His amazing body of work over the years in both animation and comic books speaks for itself, and I'm positive this new comic is in great hands. I hired him years ago to participate in writing one episode of my series, which ran for 65 episodes, and I thoroughly enjoyed working with him. Where he now chooses to take the series story-wise is entirely his decision. But, for the record, they are not my creative choices, nor do they represent any oversight by me. Yes, it would have been nice, some might even say respectfully, if Marvel had reached out to me at some point as a courtesy. But I have long ago abandoned all expectation that Marvel would acknowledge any of my contributions to the Marvel Universe. Like, for instance, my creation of what is now known as the Spider-Verse. Ooh, Don't tell Dan Slott that. He's going to have a hissy fit. So I wish them well and encourage us all to celebrate with good cheer this 30th anniversary of year of Spider-Man the Animated Series. And keep your eye on all my socials, especially YouTube, because I intend to launch my own celebration of my series in the very near future in the immortal words of my mentor, Stan the Man. Enough said. The other stuff after that's not really relevant. So Pablo, I want your thoughts on this. You and I have talked Spider-Man countlessly, and we like it when a character like this is in good hands, but yet here we have a conflict, but also not the worst conflict. So what are your elaborate thoughts? I'm all ears, brother.
At the beginning, I was really happy, really stoked. No, after getting some of the subtones on, man, what he's saying is basically, those are not my decisions. That's not the story that I wanted. I trust this guy, but it ain't me. Is basically what he's saying.
Yeah, and that's true. And that's the thing. I get your point, and I'll let you contend. My only, I guess you could say, almost silver lining is this is we're having one of the best writers coming in for this.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Now go on from there. Elaborate.
Okay, here's my thing. There was a lot of setup on the final season of Spider-Man, the animated series, that they have to address, and they cannot just pull it out of their asses. There's already a story written. There's already a lot of actually there's even animatics for that, because they went from just planning into making some of the basics of the animation just to test and everything. There's a couple of panels where they are in a dimension that is kind of the west, that they were going places. It was interesting. Also, is right after a season where you had some guests like Doctor Strange, and it was kind of big deal how the series was connecting to the rest of the Marvel universe, at the same time as giving you a lot of craziness on the Spider-Man universe, that you had uh, the the different array of Spider-Mans that appear on the final episodes when they are in the Beyonder arc, that they could go back into those dimensions and see what's happening there. That was the plan. That was the plan for the final season of the series. They just didn't get the money, so that's it.
Weren't there also a few scripts leaked?
Yeah, there are some scripts leaked. There's a lot of material from that time that has come out and is really good. I say it without any reservation. It was really good. It was more of what we loved on the series. So maybe, just maybe, yeah, there's a silver lining that somebody competent is going to be writing. But if there's this degree of separation between the original series and this comic, I feel like, as a fan of the series, there's a disconnection with me, and the writer has to earn my trust. And I know he's a good writer, but he has to earn my trust on the Spider-Man the animated series universe, because is something special. The story is way different from the comics. A lot of things are way different from the comics, from how the symbiote works, uh, to exactly where it comes from. And Venom is in the cover, so they have to address that. They had a lot of loose ends with Felicia Day that they can tackle. They completely change the goblins at the end. The Green Goblin kind of stayed the same, there's still material for him in a follow up. So
Mhm.
yeah, and I'm seeing in the cover, and yeah, great. Are they finishing Morbius? Are they finishing? Well, Craven is in the cover too, so
Mhm.
I guess yeah.
Okay, so I've absorbed all your details, and I don't think they're going to acknowledge every single character, and here's why. It has been said this is a 4-issue limited series. My guess is we'll see some of these characters, and I think we'll see obviously Spider-Man, we'll see MJ. I have a guess it's going to be Green Goblin will be in there.
Oh God,
Because of
please
the
don't let them do Spider-Gwen or Miles Morales. Please, no.
yeah, right.
Dude,
Unresolved plot thread there.
yeah,
And to answer
Hobgoblin is there.
Deeple and Disciples' question, is this a comic or show? This is a limited series comic, not a show. Now, is it surprising that this is coming out given how X-Men 97 turned out last year? No, it's not surprising that they are going for this. Obviously, you saw there was that for those who watched the show, there was that quick moment where you saw Peter and MJ together watching what was going on, and it's clear that they got back together. But it's obviously it's the how that maybe could intrigue some. I don't think every single plot thread, because if you remember, there's still this wasn't the only plot thread hanging. If you think about it, and I don't think they're going to address all that. I think they're going to address the main one. How does Peter get to the real MJ? We're not going to get the follow up with Morbius, though. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see how they follow up the Venom and Carnage stuff with Baron Mordo when he got sucked in the portal. Probably won't
Mhm.
happen. And then there was the Black Cat stuff that kind of just kind of came to a bit of a screeching halt once Peter got married. But hey, you get married, you find a lady. I guess the side piece is
Yeah, but
like,
he
oh,
didn't
not
got
going to be a
real.
thing. So, how do you pull off knowing that you still have all this threads hanging, or could this be a test to see if they should make a ongoing where they acknowledge the rest of the threads, or should that be picked up for an actual show? Because Christopher Daniel Barnes, the voice, is still alive. He
Mhm.
still is. He's active, and he's not opposed to doing a show again. He says he's just waiting for a call, and he's actually a really cool guy on social media. Christopher Daniel Barnes. He's a good dude. He's a real good dude.
Just as a reminder of how things ended on some of on some of the series,
Mm-hmm.
you still have to solve for the Hobgoblin and the Green Goblin, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Mary Jane that Peter married was a fake. So that marriage no longer exists. So everything with Felicia is back into the plate. But he's not on his own dimension. He's going with the God damn it,
Madam Web.
with Madam Web. He's
Mm-hmm.
traveling through dimensions with her. That's the end of the series.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
ah, so many things.
Okay, so well, thanks for your input, Pablo. Before we get on to Fenrir, a quick hello and welcome to the show, Ironcaster.
Hello, hello, gentlemen. Long time no see.
Welcome, Dwarven Space Noid brother. How are you doing?
Oh, we're doing fantastic. Made it through the week, and now it's time to kind of relax for the weekend.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm glad to
Sweet.
have you here, sir. All right, before I pass the baton on to Fenrir, I'm gonna acknowledge this one comment, and then the floor is gonna be there for Fenrir. So Deeple says, can they use the Can they finish the F4 and Silver Surfer cliffhanger from their '90s cartoon too? It'll probably be better than a movie come out a month. Well, I don't think anyone's gonna disagree with you, especially in this chat on that. Yeah, that would be nice, but is it also wishful thinking? Yeah, but hey, men can dream, and we're going to have to probably leave that up to our imaginations, but I appreciate that thought. Okay, Fenrir, your thoughts on this?
My thoughts. I guess might be a bit controversial, but I am. Look, I'm excited, but at the same time, a bit off. Look, I have a rule about things, specifically revivals and continuations. I have a rule. It's called the 10-year zombie rule. If something passes the 10-year longevity to be revived, it becomes ass. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of examples I could publish from. I mean, look at Young Justice for once. Because as time goes on, men, writers, their mentalities, their skill, it changes. And sometimes not for the best. And there is this unique form of beauty that the mystery of how is sometimes better than whatever the hell the creators can come up with. I mean, when watching X-Men 97 and seeing the scene with Peter and MJ, I was a bit happy because we've all wanted to see that. But the situation is, sometimes the mystery of how it's better than what we're actually shown. So I'm not 100% on board with this because, for all we know, they could ruin everything we loved. I know there's probably I hope I'm wrong, but there's a chance that they might ruin this. It could be great. It's like being on a shuffleboard in the middle of an ocean of spikes. You're just trying not to fall on each one of the sides, or like trying to pick between Char or Amaru in a minefield. It's impossible. Okay.
Fenrir, you have to pick. You have to side with the people who drop colonies, because I was going to drop one on you.
It depends where the colonies is. If it's Australia, yeah, sure, I'm on your side without thinking twice. But we need to really think this through, because again, this could be great, but at the same time, it could really be devastatingly horrible.
Of course.
Well,
And I'm trying to look at this through a very in the middle centrist line, because even though this is not my personal favorite Spider-Man show, it is the initial one that I grew up with, and it was my key that unlocked the Marvel universe for me. And so it obviously holds a very near and dear place in my heart, because it brought me my first action figure collection. It brought me my first cartoon that I was absolutely obsessed with. And it made me get to know the Spider-Man lore of characters and the wider Marvel universe. So there's obviously still a lot of attachment to the series. And
yeah, there's one more thing that really worries me.
Is real for them.
It's this story. We know it's going to involve a lot of multiversal travel, right?
It has not been said.
Because, look, in the few recent years, almost every Spider-Man story has been forcibly pushing the multiversal narrative. I mean, the show did use the multiverse, but it was back in the time where it was not as a broad, full-on thing, and most writers weren't constantly trying to pull it up down our throats like the disliked stepchild of a rented mule. Look, but now, hell, it's Disney on the helm, so who knows? They might just force the multiverse out of throats, bring in Miles Morales, bring in Spider-Gwen, just to show they exist. And the Peter doesn't have as much of the time as this. Look, my point is that, God, I don't even have the words anymore. It's just so tiresome, man. I really want this to be good, but God damn it. Every time one of the big twos I trust them, they just hit me straight in the balls.
Well, a couple of things that immediately jump out at me. First off, like, they got the art style of these down pat. I mean, look at the coloring on Venom. There are things I do like here.
Mm-hmm.
Though I do think Peter in this picture is like drawn way too buff.
That's probably the one issue the animated series had on Cassidy. If you remember, he was always big because he's supposed to be 5'10", like 170, 180 pounds of muscle. But in the animated series, he looked like a freaking bodybuilder, like he was 6'2". Like
no, he looked like a linebacker.
Yeah, but carry on, Caster.
Two minor things here. First off, let's acknowledge the fact that they put like Shocker's head right under Peter's junk.
Yeah.
But the one thing that bothers me from this, and it tells me that I'm not going to be happy that they're going to do the one thing I don't want them to do, is that they're going to bring in more modern characters to try to bring it up to what people might expect now, and not play within the toy box it is set in.
Exactly.
You see under Mary Jane's knee there is Morloon, which you could go back and look at the Web Warriors, Edge of the Spider-Verse events, in which I think Morloon went into this universe at one point, but
he did.
Oh God! Please don't do the Spider-Toad crap.
I don't think it'll tie into it, but I can see where you come from on that. Go on.
I'm not saying that they're going to do that, but it does come to mind. But it's something I ultimately would like to see. Let's leave it to its own little sandbox. Uh, that said, look, they say it's a 4-issue miniseries, but it's testing the water and it's ultimately following the same formula that we got with X-Men 97. That had a little limited run miniseries. Then I think it went to a longer run, and then ultimately we got the animated show. This is that first step.
I think it might be. I agree with that, Ironcaster. I do feel like
Because
this is definitely trying to see where the demand is for this.
because ultimately, like, if something's a smash hit, it's never going to be a one-off. I mean, look at The Last Ronin. You know, that was a fine little
Yeah.
miniseries, and it was like the top-selling comic of the entire year.
And it still sells. That hardcover still sells to this very
Mhm.
day. The Last Ronin is still being talked about. It still has an audience. It's one of the few American trades that still gets bought and talked about. So that goes to show you, like, hey, like The Last Ronin is now one of those stories that will stand the test of time. And
Yeah, but that
that's
sequel really doesn't go down well for that.
You know, I can confirm that with The Last Ronin too. I was in my local Barnes and Noble, which look, I'm just as surprised it's still open. And I was in there talking with I think a mother and her daughter, and they were kind of looking through the comic section. And we were kind of making some little back and forth, and I had mentioned this book. And I'm like, yeah, this is I think a little spiel like this is the original Peters coming back together to basically tell this like final story of that. Anyway, yeah, basically she walked away and picked it up. I managed to talk her into a sale. But
nice.
the thing is, this it's almost a no-brainer that this was the other thing they should have done. Well,
You're cutting out, Caster.
oh, that's unfortunate. I don't know why it's been doing that lately.
I'm sorry
But
that it is.
it's it's really not a surprise. I think the only other thing that they really should do is to give us a physical edition of this, because to my knowledge, we never got a complete box set.
Box set of. Did I miss a detail there? Box set of.
The animated series.
Oh, Spider-Man. Yeah, no, I think there was some version released in another country. I don't think there was like an official US release of it. There was obviously a Blu-ray collected edition of the Spectacular Spider-Man, but as far as the animated series, there was none to my knowledge that is like an official version released from Marvel or Fox Studios, Fox Kids, the companies who were involved with the making this cartoon. And yeah, I have been wondering about that for 20 something years now. Like in the Christian Bale, where is it voice?
Because it was like I only ever saw like a couple of Venom episodes in a bundle, a Doctor Strange bundle, and then I
Yes.
think a Daredevil.
Yes, there was a Daredevil, and I had all three of those.
But you never got season 1.
Nope, there's not season 1. There's not an all 5 seasons package. Yeah, there's not that official US release one. Yeah, I think Deeple knows what I'm getting to. There's a worldwide release that is available. We gotta change things from Chinese to English. Yes, it is available. And to me, like that doesn't really count as a version unless you're someone who just has to have it. For some that's good enough. For me, I kind of I'm like, no, I need the real deal. And not only will you give me the real deal and its proper mastering and everything, but I'd like some special features. I might be getting a little greedy there, but hey, I'll admit when I'm being a bit greedy. And that's exactly what I want with my Spider-Man, the animated series. And the figures, I mean, if there's one thing that the animated series did do, two things that Spectacular didn't. One, have figures still being re-released to this day. Two, well, Spectacular for me got the action down pat and probably the teenage stuff a bit better, and Peter Parker actually looking 5'10". The one thing that the original show did better was the fact that it introduced the wider Marvel universe, because for Spectacular is really good, sticking with Spider-Man, his supporting cast, and his villains, and his locations within his corner of New York City. It doesn't talk much about the big, wider universe. There's, brief acknowledgments, but it's very focused, which is not a bad thing. You don't want to bite off more than you can chew. But the animated series, I give it credit because of that show, I learned who Blade was. I learned who Daredevil was. I learned who Doctor Strange was. I learned who the Black Cat was. I learned who Tombstone was. I learned who the Beyonder is. So I have that one special, unique place because it was a Marvel floodgate for me in that regard.
Plus, it did cross over with the X-Men series.
Yes. Oh, I remember. I had built a green fort out of a bunch of blankets, and I watched that episode. I remember that like it was yesterday. I built a green fort out of a blanket, and I hung out my fort, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch this episode, get my bowl of Captain Crunch. I think at the time I was going through a peanut butter crunch phase. Yes, I remember my cereal of what I was happening, and I was just so happy to see that.
Must have been a magical time.
It was a very magical time. Go on.
So how much you guys want to bet that they're going to make sure they get Miles Morales introduced before the end of issue 4?
God damn.
I really hope they don't, because Miles doesn't need to be in everything.
All right. So let's make a game of this. What issue do you think he'll show up in?
3.
I'll be honest, probably 2.
3, last page.
2, somewhere in between the middle or the end.
What do you say, Pablo?
Issue 1, they are going to rip that bandage right off.
Okay.
God, he's right.
I feel like I need to play the other end of this.
Wait, I can't remember. Did they have a Gwen in this show?
No. There was a alternate
Ben,
universe
get ready.
one
She's
that
going to
showed
be
up.
introduced as Miles' age and have her become Spider-Gwen too.
So I'm speculating he's going to be like last page of issue 4. So I'm going to say issue 4. So we've got the entire spectrum here.
Yeah.
And I think we need to make this an interesting little challenge. We'll see who ends up winning.
Let's follow up on this, please. Chat, remember this. He's issue 4. I'm issue 3. Pablo's 1. Fenrir is 2. And Penny, good night. Thank you for being here. Hail Tim Hayes. People said normal stream for FY. Thank you. I made a mistake there. I Rumble, if I start now, it's going to be all funky and weird. So that's my fault. That's on me. I apologize. We'll correct it for next week, sir. Thanks for your understanding. But okay, so it seems like right now the overall thought is cautious. We are cautious, and we'll probably have our eyes on this from a little bit from afar, maybe. But none of us are going to be like, whoa, which is fine. After how bad this company has burned everyone and their mother, I don't blame anyone for caution, and I don't even blame anyone who just wants to skip it, period. So I think we've got our say then on this topic. So anyways, we'll consider this one a wrap. And yes, as Gary Neurotic says, Miles Morales is Miles Morales and Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and I agree with him on that. Ain't that a fact? Okay, let's transition. Okay, let me drop this down here. Okay.
I beg your pardon.
We're transitioning. So, all right, we're going to talk Fantastic Four number 51 because obviously our buddy Clobberin had passed on, and well, we acknowledged it last year, and we're going to do it again. So, and then we'll expand our horizons. But this type of comic is one of those comics where it's worth talking about again. Sometimes some things deserve a second look. And for me, this is like my 900th look. So I'm happy that we get to be doing this once again, because this is just one of those comics that makes sense to do about. It's one of the greatest single issue tales, and it's one of the greatest tales in general, period. Iconic cover, iconic art, memorable writing, and a very moving story. And it's not really all about the action of the physical combat action, but the actions of what superhumans do because of certain circumstances. So let's get out Fantastic Four number 51. This man, this monster. And I will let Fenrir start off with his thoughts on revisiting this wonderful masterpiece of an issue.
Oh, I'm on.
You're on. Sorry,
All
just you
right.
had a lot of noise, so I got to turn your mic off when you got a bunch of noise going on.
Well, I live in a very noisy place. Mainly for starters, there's a lot of artistry and visual imagery in here that would give someone the impression that Jack Kirby was probably under the influence of something. But no, the man was just this creatively visionary. He was not under the influence of any form of narcotics, alcohol. I mean, he did smoke a lot of cigars, but no, he was not under the influence of anything powerful. This was just how he what he viewed when he closed his eyes. That is how creative he was. His old Jimmy Olsen comics have a lot of evidence of this because they show a lot of similar views to what the Negative Zone had when it comes to universal travel. Simply the insanity of having realistic and having realistic imagery mixed together with the drawings. It was art that I really always enjoyed. Okay, now to the story. This is another great tale of Ben Grimm's, specifically in his constant need to want to go back and become the man he once was, which is again one of the best stories of it all. Because here's the thing: Ben is a character that needs to suffer. He before the thing, Ben was top of the world. He was a pretty boy. Everybody loved him. Great pilot. Great everything. He was a king among men. Now this crap happens, and he's a monster. That is the thing. It has to happen. He must not be loved. He must be feared, hated, and he must hate above himself above all. Because every time that he picks to do the right thing, makes a lot more weight to it. And I feel that a lot of writers today don't have that understanding. And it's always great to go back to stories and see that. But yes, the tale of the monster. You can even see in the writing. This monster, this thing, it is well done from start to finish. Specifically with the let's say death at the end.
Cool. Will that be all for you, sir? It sounded like that was a very conclusive thought.
It really was, but I also did enjoy there wasn't that much of a lot of Gianni in this one.
My favorite guy, Johnny, got cut short. But you know what? For this type of story, it makes sense for him to be cut short. This is a story about Ben and his relationship with the family, not about Johnny. So if you gotta take
but always,
someone out of the
although
equation for a few pages, let it be Johnny. He's occupied anyway.
yeah, but although I do agree, Ben and Reed had the biggest relationship, being best buds from the start, and technically Reed blaming himself for Ben's current situation, and a part of Ben also blaming Reed, but for deep down. But I always feel that Johnny and Ben themselves have a great big bond that he should probably be around this kind of stories for Ben. Because I feel they have that older brother and annoying little brother kind of bond.
Oh God, yeah, you're so dead on with that. Yeah, it's an older big brother, older and smaller brother bond where they fight like brothers, they argue like it, and it makes for dynamic entertainment for us. That's for sure. For them, it's like this guy, but for us, it's just like keep on fighting, fight.
Damn right.
All right. Well, Fender, that are very wonderful first thoughts, sir. Thank you for giving us a strong lead off.
Thank you for giving me the option.
Oh, my pleasure. Caster, take it away, sir.
This monster is one of the most iconic of Fantastic Four stories about everyone's beloved, ever-loving, blue-eyed thing, the icon of millions, as Clobby would be quick to always remind us. And the funny thing is, as even though this is a story about the Thing, where he is the heart of it ultimately, it's a story he's hardly in.
Yeah,
which
as the
ultimately
Thing,
goes, which ultimately goes to show you that it's not just about the powers; it's about what makes the man, and which is kind of ironic or well set up because as this is starting out, this is Ben feeling at his lowest point. This is coming out of the Galactus story, where or he feels like he's been betrayed and lost. Like Alicia doesn't love him. He's not needed, and so he feels like all he is just this this slab of rock, and that's all he can ever be seen for. Well, only to ultimately have a story here where we find him, the scientist here who feels scorned and ridiculed, as he's saying there, and manages to ultimately find a way to take Ben's powers from him, to take his place. We get a chance to see what would happen if someone else were to step into his shoes, and what kind of man does that make?
I would agree. I would strongly agree with that. Hell yeah, man. No, the action is not through the physicality, but the action is through the family dynamic and how and why Ben is so important to the team. I guess is me kind of throwing my thoughts there as well. Why he's important to the team, why his personality meshes with Reed. And this guy he learns throughout the story. He had these intentions of he wanted to have everything Reed did, realizing he couldn't be half the man Ben or Reed was. And so he gives up the ultimate sacrifice, realizing he can never be what Ben Grimm was. And it was crazy how they took this character and made you feel like, wow, I didn't expect him to have a heroic sacrifice by the end of this issue, considering what he had done to Ben Grimm, practically drugging him at the beginning. And once again, in 20 pages, a lot happened. If this was a story nowadays, what started off on page 2 and 3 would have not happened until issue 6 or 7 of a decompressed, written for the trade story by
it would have taken at least
a Bendis
5 to 7 issues just to get halfway through. Let's be real.
You're probably right. You're probably right. But Caster, go ahead and continue. Sorry,
Oh.
I interfered.
Well, we would have had the body swap be the end of issue 1, and that would have been right. That would have been the cliffhanger to end the story on, for the sake of the trade. But it is one of these stories I feel like would have made for a bit of a fascinating what if to be told. To suggest what if this guy had survived? What if he had gone on to come back, and he kept the powers? There's a story there. Or perhaps what if Reed didn't make it back and he did? What would have happened with that? And you could have kind of further gone into this story, though. Ultimately, I would suggest, and I would theorize, that it's not really a story worth telling. Well, at least that version of it.
That's kind of the whole point, Deeple. Because he has a similar appearance of Ben Grimm, he felt like he could get away with having the shapely form of the Thing. And that's why when he drugged him and made sure to mirror his appearance to look like him, he already had a face built for it. So he's a little bit of an oddity, a freak show. And he acknowledged that when he was talking to Ben, hey, I know what it's like to be like you. We get mocked, we get ridiculed, we get judged. And obviously his reasons are a bit different than Ben, but his is more like science-based, whereas Ben's are more of an appearance-based. But the message still comes across the same. They're guys who get scorned for whatever is like a big trait of their life. And he feels that's still striking an emotional chord with him. But because of that chord, he has his own ambitions. And by the end of it, his ambitions revert, because it's amazing how he saw Reed Richards as this guy who he thought from the outside was this guy who did everything he did for show, for clout, for exposure, until he got on the end and he realized, oh, wow, no, Reed is a real one. This is stuff he's really sincere about. He's doing these big, bold adventures, and he's doing it just because he's adventurous like that. He wants to know what it's like out there. He wants to do this just to learn and educate, and time and place to inform the world should it be necessary. And that was also a big changing of how we saw Reed as well, because he also had some resentment towards Reed Richards as well. That's when he realized, okay, that's why I'm not half the man, because I want the advantage of that stuff. Reed does it out of love. It's a labor of love. and that is incredibly moving. Once again, superhero comics being moving. Now, I hear all this talk about how stories are so much more story oriented nowadays, and I'd say that's true, and it's not true at the same time, because in some cases there's stories where it's really engaging. There's some stories where I think they like to think that they're really engaging, but really they're just dragging it out, and the guys are trying to make it think they're so I don't know what's the word here. They feel like they're being sophisticated with their storytelling when really it's not, when everyone's doing the decompression model. This story to me was telling a moving story in the mid to late 60s. And I feel like it moves just as much as any story of the last 35, 40 years. Completely, period, full stop. Don't even try to tell me otherwise that this is not a thought-provoking story. This story oozes emotion. Emotion grows out of emotion. They can make one of those inside-out characters called Fantastic Four 51 because of how much emotion the story brings out. In case, for those who haven't seen Inside Out, they had these characters who are based on emotions, sadness, happiness, yada yada. They can make a character out of the emotion that this story pours out, is all I'm trying to get at. Emphasizing a point here, that's all. It looks so amateur. Nah, dude, this is the work of a master. That's what that is. It is a work of a master, because you know what? They're drawing it by hand, and he's also doing it without an eraser because Jack Kirby was very busy trying to meet deadlines. He wasn't trying to be overly sophisticated. They did. Now, are there some really detailed art pages in this thing? Oh, hell yeah. We'll get to a few of those. But when he needs to tell the story, he tells the story. But when Jack wants to shine, and boy, what he does. But right now, storytelling is a thing that he did do. And dude,
Herbie loved
when
his
he gets
machines.
to lock and unload like this, come on. The machine that he pieced together to make this happen, dude, that's a damn sculpture of art greatness. And look at the architecture on that shit. That is incredible. Incredible. And then he kicks it up.
Kirby was a master of gear porn for men.
Hey, yeah. Before we go too much further there, I also want to briefly acknowledge the fact that this is also where we get one of the earliest Native American characters, Wyatt Wingfoot.
Yes. Look at, man. Whoa. What? Native Americans existed in the 60s?
I know. They didn't.
Before the 2015? No.
They didn't all just live on reservations either.
Yeah. And look at these panels. These panels are striking too. When Reed goes out into the world and see that this whole other world he's unlocking, and it blows his mind what he's discovering. He's in as much of a daze as we are. And as soon as he's in that daze, he goes deeper, and then boom. Woo! Look at that. Oh man. Jack. You unlocked a whole new world within our heads, and you
look at it.
You imagine things that we could have not, and you brought it to life.
Yeah, no drugs.
No
Man was
drugs.
clean as the whistle.
He's just like your typical cigar guy, straight out of New York City. Probably had the New Yorker accent going on, all that stuff. No, Jack Kirby was a pretty clean guy. It seemed like.
You look at it and wonder, how did they even make this comic? How did this page come about being made?
How do you do it on a deadline? Because you remember comics like these, he was doing around 3 to 4 pages a day. Day.
Think a bit deeper, even.
Barely do a page a week. Sorry.
Today's creators can't do the ways of old. Seriously, Kirby was doing this kind of things monthly. Every month, new issue, complete story. With crazy insane art.
Fender, that's crazy. You're supposed to take 3 years to make a frog comic.
Oh.
Sorry, forgot.
It's okay.
Dude, think about this even a bit deeper. Think about the technology of the era. Calibrating the printer to get this comic done must have been a bitch.
Yeah. It is. And Jack's thing was one of his advices to other pencilers was when you do stories, ditch the eraser. And you know how risky that sounds, especially at a time there wasn't digital. There wasn't a thing where you could just go over mistakes. If you screwed up, you had to start all over. And his whole just was just ditch the eraser, just go for it. You might get the occasional imperfection, but you know what? That's fine. In comics, and this is something that I feel like a lot of comic fans, old and new, have kind of forgotten that anatomy doesn't always have to be exactly perfect. Don't get me wrong, it's nice when it is. Of course it is. We like seeing, perfect, molded, sculpturesque, statuesque forms.
But not
However,
everything needs to be realistic. If you want realistic, we'll just go outside.
thank you. You get it, Fender. That it's fine when comics exaggerate some of those things because that's what helps bring us that escapism. It helps us imagine the impossible being possible. Think, oh, whoa, that's so crazy and wild. And we want to be able to have them imagine. Why limit our imagination just to what's outside our window? I mean, yes, I know Marvel is the world outside our window. However, this part of the world is not outside our window, and that's fine. Take me to places that I literally cannot go. Take me there. I want to be there for one. And then when it's right, bring me back to Earth. And this issue does that. It takes you out of the world and then it brings you right back to Earth a few pages later. Yet it doesn't feel like a quick moment. It feels like during that moment, it's a bit of a moment, not like a quick blink and you miss it. It feels longer. And for Reed in the story, it probably felt longer than it actually was because it's so much to take all in. This is a big deal. Thank you, Steven. Just like anything, a comic book doesn't have to be perfect, just consistent. Yeah, we're not doing Picasso pieces. Once again, I love my Picasso pieces, and I do like it when comic pencilers do that. But it doesn't need to be every single time on every single comic. Once again, as I say a lot on here and on many other streams, there's a time and a place for things. It's called all things in moderation, but we don't need that to translate to every single thing ever. Sometimes it's good to have a little bit of imperfection. A lot of and I'm going to make this about metal here, but a lot of my favorite bands' recordings, it wasn't when, it was when a lot of them weren't sounding as so perfect and polished. It was when you had the raw energy and just the vibe to go off of, not just trying to sound.
And you know that little comment just brought up about moderation?
Sure.
I think it applies a lot about modern comics today because every single book is just trying to be either an absolute masterclass of characterization or deconstruction or reimagining that they end up making into this endless mess. Just try to tell a simple story. Not everything needs to be a masterclass thing. Simple is good.
I agree. All right, Caster. I think I end up making it about my thoughts on it, and I know you're like probably more 3/4 of the way with yours. Go ahead and finish. I'm sorry, dude. I totally was just I was in a mode. I was in a mode, and I apologize.
No, you're good. I mean, I think I've kind of got my piece off on this. I think it is ultimately a fantastic book that is so worth your time.
You said fantastic.
Oh, no pun intended. It's a book that anyone could pick up and read.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
I agree. Strongly agree. It is exactly that. Well, Caster, thank you, like Fenrir, for your contributions. Pablo, last but not least, sir, you have been patient. So let's let you have the floor with this masterwork of a comic. They should make a Marvel masterwork on this comic just as a masterwork book, and I'd still buy it. Go on, Pablo.
Indeed. This might be one of the most mightiest and awesome comics of all time. And yeah, if you know that phrase, you are one of mine. I'm just saying that. Dude, first of all, this was set up. I don't know if you guys knew this, but it's not the first appearance of this character and won't be the last. The only sad part is that the last was on 2022 when they tried to wrap up this story. But I'm sharing my screen. That's his first appearance. Number 50. Yep.
Set up, payoff.
They just have this. Obviously, they are talking about the resolution of the Galactus incident. And, well, the guy is just like, I want that. is the easiest way to just say
And you
it.
kind of got to see him as a badass because he's just looking at these guys just say the one thing. You know what? They a bunch of pussies. I gotta kick their asses.
No, isn't he is not up to a fight, and that's part of. If you go to number 51, you can read in his own words that well, he never was able to beat Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, as a one-to-one. As a scientist, he was never on that level. But that realization comes when his pride is finally over, when he is just facing that maybe he has killed the most intelligent man on earth, and maybe he needs to do something about it and become a hero. And that's the key part of the whole issue, because you go through 51 as this guy is stealing the power. By the way, stupid thing that he's stealing the power using a replication machine. He should have he should have an exact copy of the powers, not the powers as the original. It's like copying a file. It's a duplicator, should duplicate. If not, you didn't make a duplicator. You did a transfer machine. Just call it a transfer machine. Don't be an ass. The purpose of a system is what it does. A- Philosophy. Part of this issue somehow. No, there's a lot of philosophy, to be honest, because well, the guy is facing the fact that he's about to kill his enemy that his enemy never knew was an enemy. He's about to kill Reed Richards in the most despicable way possible, and then his thought goes to, this is not right, and he tries to save Reed, but it's too late. So he jumps into the emptiness of this awesome cube. Actually, the name is Huge. Cube
Huge.
is huge. So
Huge.
I love the
Go on.
descriptives on this era were so goddamn funny, man. I know they were trying to be serious, but yeah, the apparatus is a huge cube. That great. He jumps and gets to Reed, and I think the most important moment of the whole comic, and the one that is more telling about who Ben Grimm is.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Grimm is not in the panel because, well, this guy that no we know has a name. His name is Ricardo. Random fact: the guy is called, I think, Ricardo Jones. Random fact. Yeah, he's called Ricardo Jones. Well, he gets inspired by Ben Grimm. He decides that his action should be risk his life, actually sacrifice his life to save Reed. And he acts like Ben Grimm should have.
Yeah. He
He is.
realizes why Ben Grimm is so important to the team.
That's the moment when you actually get the title of the issue. This man, this monster, is
Mm-hmm.
not about Ben Grimm. It's about this character that goes nameless for uh 60 years almost. And yeah, he just gets inspired by who Ben Grimm is, who the thing is, and does the right thing. Then at the end, you have this small conversation between Reed and Ben. I want to go straight to that.
Go for it.
Yeah, because yeah, here. Try not to judge him too harshly, Ben. Somehow, at the last minute, some of your own heroism reach out through the endless void and touch him.
Huh?
Eh. That's the most Ben Grimm response, too.
Yep.
That is exactly how that would go. Reed would have that moment of a deep, caring thought, and Ben Grimm was going, huh?
Yes.
I'd still like to have got my own paws on him just once.
Oh, that was so good. And and yeah, it is the way it ends and the dialogue that caps off is really poetic. He paid the full price and he paid it like a man. And he did. He learned how what he was doing was wrong. He realized who the real heroes were, and he changed his ways and gave it all up so that they can move forward with their life, realizing that these are genuine people. They're not just people trying to put on face for the camera. And that's
Learn the
really
price of-
incredibly touching. And who said stories weren't endearing and deep back then? Who the hell is saying that? Freaking tourists.
I need to correct
Posers.
myself.
Also, what's up, Grim? How you doing, buddy?
I need to correct myself because the name is even more awesome than that. Is
Go on.
Huge Radical Cube.
Radical Cube. I love it. I
That's-
love it.
This era had the best names for any contraption, any apparatus. They just went again. The name of a power transferring machine is the duplicator. That's a bit logic, but okay, it's that era. This is just absolutely awesome. The Huge Radical Cube.
Radical, man.
Radical, man. Got the cube, dude. Whoa. I mean, no way.
I have rules against speaking like a stoner surfer boy, and
We're not like speaking like that, man. It's nice.
I believe Colonel Mustard did it in the study with the candlestick.
It's like winning.
Bill and Ted.
Carry on,
man.
Caster.
Bill and Ted.
It's
I
like
needed
the
to
year
put you off guard.
1993.
Whoa.
Can you believe
Whatever. No
that?
one gets my humor.
No, I didn't catch that. I didn't. I'll admit it. I didn't.
Can you believe that Keanu Reeves has only 2 acting modes? One is really stupid high stoner, and the other one is himself.
Well, yeah.
actually, I think the stoner is Keanu Reeves, and the other is a John Wick guy.
I don't. Yeah, the thing is, I think if I had to take a good guess, I think he maybe used to be a stoner, and he stopped. He seems like the type of
No,
guy
he was a stoner. He probably still is on the side, but he's in with moderation.
I feel
I
like
don't
he seems like the type of guy to me. He seems very. I mean, you might be right, Fenrir. I feel like he's completely clean.
Yeah, he's completely clean after the death of his girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it. Men will do crazy things for and out of love when something radical happens. I
Indeed.
would know. I'm guilty.
Indeed.
So
Man, I
Pablo,
still can't
to
believe
finish your
that I
thoughts
took
on
my
this
hair for a woman.
this fantastic comic, what else you got?
Basically, that will be it. You guys talk about the other important stuff. Well, obviously, there's a lot of setup for more things going to happen because this is a response to the threat of Galactus, of the threat of something that powerful. So Reed is already trying interdimensional, faster than light travel, and you know where that ends. There's a whole sun for him waiting. There's a whole level of new experiments waiting for him. And well, obviously, this character that apparently dies will not be forgotten. Even actually, I think I can show you in Fantastic Four 190. Well, Fantastic Four Volume 1 190. there's a small recount of the situation that is just a shortened version. By the way, yeah, this is Namor with beard. This is
Oh, I
Namor without
recognize
beard.
old eyebrows from miles.
All right.
Yeah, but I bet you didn't
Stop.
remember that this happened on, and I think this was before before this was Marvel, because I'm almost sure, Debot, if you can correct me in this one, I need a lot of help because I do believe this is the era where was Kirby and God damn it, his old partner before when he was doing Captain America originally before
Um,
Marvel on
I'm,
Timely Comics.
I'm looking at that middle panel there, and he's looking a little German to me with that mustache. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm getting a little nervous here, guys.
dude, Neymar and that mustache guy have a lot in common on politics, and I'm not even joking.
We're like, I thought you ran away to Argentina. No, he washed ashore in New York City.
So wait. I thought you were on Argentina, and then you hear under the sea, under the sea. God damn it. But yeah, there's a lot of that, obviously, Medusa and everything. But then they have a small recount of. Okay. It was Bill Everett, no Joe Simmons, the one that created. Okay. But still, I think that those panels are from that era because, as far as I remember, when you start with Marvel Comics proper, Namor is already beardless. Also, Namor is more of an a-hole that he used to be. They scale up a bit. The one that is cutting his beard, that is removing his beard, is the original Human Torch. If the is the robotic Human Torch, right? So this is
Simla, I have one final mission for you.
One final mission. Go on.
dun, 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 dun.
Well, this is not the Marvel universe I remember. Turns out, like old Adolf wound up, having a little bit of a different ending than I thought.
I can see that. In comics, that's doable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
it's beautiful.
Absolutely doable.
Man, one of talking about those topics, one of the best experiences that I have had with a movie, with the response of people for a movie, is with Look Who's Back. It's a movie about the guy with the mustache. Instead of dying on the 40s, he
Mhm.
gets into a time warp and gets into the future, into,
Mhm.
I think it's 2016 or something like that.
Mhm.
And they think he's an impersonator and hire him as a comedian. His comedy is basically he reciting his own speeches, and people
Mhm.
are like, "That's profound. We should actually pay attention to what he's saying." And people didn't get the joke. The joke is, yeah, people are that stupid.
There's a version of the Eminem song that was redubbed with his voice.
No, the words that they have done on YouTube, and I think they actually removed that song, is the Christmas song "I All Want for Christmas Is You."
Mhm.
You will know which word they change.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the artificial intelligence is something.
All I want for Christmas is juice. A
Yes,
nice tall glass of juice.
All right, gentlemen. It's been a while. We're an hour and 15 minutes in the show. We've gone through two of our topics, and I'm ready for us to transition after having a nice, heartfelt talk about
Wait. I
fantastic.
also remember an anime where the mustache guy got isekai. That was funny.
That happened on manga.
Fantastic Four number 51. So it's great to talk that classic issue again. But let's do our chat for hanging out with us tonight. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate all of you. Grim, DEBUTS, Stephen M, Deeple, Penny earlier who was here, Tim Hayes, Subhuman 84, Keely Chow. Thank you guys. Seriously, if I missed you, I apologize. Obviously, several comments ago, but this one, see you guys. Cheers, beers, salutes.
Salute.
But
For Clobby.
for Clobby, indeed. Episode 49, issue number 49. So I got to correct myself there. Hey, what's up, Mohammed said. Nice to see you, bud. So, okay, we're going to get into Norfrica. So, obviously, back when I saw One Hit 3 years ago, that band was very intriguing. And we're finally getting a comic on that band. And not only are we getting a comic on it, and it's supposed to be a limited series, but we got a song to accompany it with Dan Vask included.
Man,
And you know what? We're gonna listen to it.
Wait, just a
fucking
second.
now.
Wait a second. Are you
What?
playing the real song or the song that I'm thinking? Because Dan Bass should do a cover of Africa. I'm just saying that.
Oh, no, we're gonna play the Norfrica song. Is what we're gonna do.
Back when we were first talking about this, way back when, when we were on this channel going, Norfrica, Norfrica. In the back of my head, I was kind of having this thought of, well, wait, Rip is in a band, and within our little, corner of the internet, there's guys like Dan Vask. I could kind of see them putting something together. And lo and behold,
We got it, and we're gonna listen to it because they do allow us to listen to stuff. So why not? And you know what? We got a lot of people who like heavier tunes on our chat and on our panel. So why not listen to it? So guys, get your drinks loaded up. Let's listen to some heavy music for 40 minutes, okay? Let's pedal to the metal, dudes.
Well, your connection is not that metal.
Here we stand at the turn of the tide. I can see an innate desire. Sword in hand, warriors side by side. I can feel it, it burns like fire. Worlds collide, an unstable landscape. Side by side, but that's what this man takes. Be it might and unlikely allegiance. We will fight because that's the best defense. No turning back, for such is our path.
oh, dude,
So epic.
Glorious death,
This is War Song.
Right?
glorious death. Our goal, our mission is clear. As we ride against a dark empire. By my soul, may the last thing they hear be the roar of this raging fire. Listen, be the savagery mindset. Not today, we'll let loose and find it. Brutal will define our reaction. Rip out the throat of each one imperfection. No turning back, for such is our path. This day we find the glorious death.
this is rad.
Right? Dude, it is so catchy. It's heavy. It's got a memorable hook to it. It's got
This
all
is the kind of song you hear when shit's about to go down in a major fight, man.
It
dude,
has
it
a
is.
lot of Nightwish, but it has some extra of that
Oh yeah,
Brazilian
a little
style.
Nightwish, a little Sabatani, a little bit of. There's even some Amon. And then I looked at
Yup.
the guy who mixed it. I'm like, man, it sounds like something that would have come from like Jens Bogren. And I looked at it, and the guy who worked on it was the guy who worked with Jens Bogren. I'm like,
There
I
you go.
freaking called it. So of course, and what's up, Jonathan Conroy? Love that song, dude. Right, it hits. And Gavin, what's up, Gavin says. So I imagine the soundtracks to DWJ indie series. We go, dude, Extremity. This would have been a great song for Extremity, brother. Would have loved that for Extremity. Seems like if you're saying indie series, you're on the same wavelength as me. So let's look here. Norfrica Glorious Death vinyl. They got a vinyl here, and there's a digital single for those who can't afford vinyl, but if you can, you should, because there's a regular edition and there's a super fancy edition. Both have their own distinctive artworks too. I think though the more expensive one is a gatefold, which in music terms, a gatefold vinyl means that the artwork is a wraparound, so it goes around to the front and the back. So if you're one of those like extra diehards,
What?
yeah, see,
Wait,
Gavin knows
wait.
what's up. Extremity, yeah, dude, that's the shit. I actually had a great conversation with DWJ himself at a metal show in 2017 about Extremity. I went to go see Cannibal Corpse with Power Trip and Gay Creeper. Him and I had a conversation. He bought me a beer, which was weird, but it was awesome, which I'm not going to complain about. And I got to say he bought me a beer. We talked about Extremity, and right then and there, I knew, oh man, does this guy love comics? And he loves the medium, and he loves talking about it. And the fact that he had this metal combination, I knew about Murder Falcon over half a year before the solicits for the first issue went out. And he showed me the first cover. I was so blown away by it. It made me happy because here I was in this city that I lived in at the time. And this guy is just in comics because he loves it. He loves it. And now here he is doing Transformers, killing it almost 2 years later on the series. And Stephen M. Kell said that was the best song I've heard so far this year. Hands down, it's simply amazing. Dude, yeah, if you can, man, support digitally. Digital's cheap, I think. Let's look at that digital price. Once again, guys, the reason why I'm stressing why the digital single or the vinyl is important, I'm going to bring you down here to the stretch goal. $300,000 or Billboard chart position, Norfrica EP Promise. If we hit 300K or if Glorious Death charts on the Billboard, we'll commit to developing a full Norfrica EP. While not a guaranteed timeline, this milestone signals our intent to deliver even more music from the world of Glorious Death. That should be alone for incentive. I got the vinyl. I got the regular vinyl. Once again, let's scroll back up. I ordered the one with the black wax right here. Black wax. I got that one, and man, I can't wait. I can't wait. But for those who get that gatefold with the gold, I think that's a gold vinyl. You guys will probably benefit because you guys get the wraparound art. Anything that's got gatefold wraparound art, like think Iron Maiden Somewhere in Time, where they got that wraparound cover. Those are some of the coolest artworks because you get the see on both sides. And for those, if you're in the chat and you know how great vinyl is when you get to have the wraparound art, there's nothing that beats that experience. I've ordered cover A for the comic book as well, which I can't wait to read this comic. I'm stoked about this comic. So
Nick, I have a question. I have a really important technical question. You say it's called a gatefold, right?
Gatefold, Gate.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. I was really wondering because you said it goes through both sides, and I was like, "That's not game. That's maybe a bifold."
Dude, gay means happy. So who knows? Maybe that's just say it's happy on both sides.
And for
Taking
you
it.
toxic men in the chat, I did this just for you guys because I keep you guys in mind. That's cover C. That's supposed to be the foil right there.
That's and
She is.
looking. I mean,
He's the foil cover.
looking over the details, this is the $35 cover.
Yes,
And
35
I would
bucks.
say, and frankly, they knew how to choose them because look, I know right where my eyes are going. I want me a little piece of eye candy, and what can I say? I've got a bit of a weakness for hot blondes.
Cover D, that's the master
We all
print.
do.
And there's cover B, which is a cool, solid cover, more standard. But I stuck with Kanan White cover A, 60, and this is a 64-page issue. Ronaldson Ferrier is the interior penciler on this. I've seen his stuff on Instagram. I really like him. And like Ronaldson before me, the dude is a legitimate 110% true metalhead who is also talented at drawing. So when you put those two combinations in Nick Weiser land, you're sure to be on my radar of friendship inevitably. Let's look at a page real quick. Let's look. Why not? I actually have not even looked at a page. I'm serious.
While you look that up, I would like to point out to everyone out there that that single from Norfrica is on Spotify as well. So even if you can't, support it right now, go listen to it and help them get that pushed up the charts.
Yes, let's make a valiant effort to get that thing. I want an EP. I'll say I want an EP. So I'm gonna probably say a little more than I normally do for these collections because I want this. And yeah, Ronaldson's killer. It looks like it's gonna be very Asgard influence. Will with the inclusion of music. I'm excited about this, and I'm curious to see what this collection of characters does in a mini series. I'm really stoked on this. I'm like extra stoked on this one. So eyes are going to be paid attention on this one. Who knows? Maybe I'll even contact the boss man himself. Like, hey, let's get you on here so we could talk about this because I think that would be fun to talk to him about Norfrica. I think that would be a very fun conversation. And he's got a history of metalcore. Obviously, his band Backwards. I've known about them for a long time. And I've had people say you should try to get him on sometime. Maybe it's time we finally do that, especially with Norfrica on the way. Maybe this is the time to do it. This is the one. So I'm stoked. Art looks cool to me. I'm excited about it. I got cover A. I got the vinyl, and I'm happy. I just want this to go all the way so we can get that EP. Anything else after that is freaking gravy for me. Freaking gravy. And there's there's a tour poster for those who want to really go in on the musical element. Tour poster right there. They should have done a tour shirt though. I'm shocked that they didn't do it. Not that that's like a deal breaker, but I'm surprised they didn't do that. Like maybe keep the design right here, the Norfrica Allies and Battle shirt. Keep the same design and then do a tour that's, or if you're out there, Andrew, if you're listening, Andrew, you don't have to reply in comments. You can DM me. I'll take an extra measure with you. Keep the same design on the front, but do a Norfrica appearance for a meetup where they play a set, like a half hour, 40-minute set, and put the tour date of the meetup on the back of the shirt. Oh, just saying. I'm dreaming big right now. I'm dreaming big.
You call it the one night only?
Oh, dude, man, bro. See,
So
now you're cooking, Cassie. You're really cooking.
Oh, just on the music itself, there. I don't exactly have the best ear for music, but as far as metal goes, it does one of my favorite things, which is there's that nice, steady, almost kind of galloping rhythm to it. That I'm like, that is some of my when it comes to metal, that's like one of my favorite sequences I can get in the song. If I can get that in there, then it's gonna be on one of my favorite songs. And this hit that note for me perfect.
Sometimes it's about the right rhythm, the right riff at the right time, at the right beat, saying, you know what? And this does feel like that appropriate timing of a song. When you have a lot of these Swedish bands that have the whole melodic aspect down and becoming more prominent, especially over here in America, to capitalize on the sound. And then when you once again you have bands like Amon Amarth and Sabaton who sing about, going into battle and all that stuff. And there are bigger bands in the US now than they were 10, 15, 20 years ago. The timing of the song really is perfect. I'm excited. I'm really stoked on that. And I want this to go all the way with an EP. And for that EP, I want that EP to become something huge. Go ahead, Caster. Go ahead.
Speaking of Sabaton, did I tell you the story about the time I caught my dad? I went up to go see my dad, and he pulls up in his truck out of nowhere, and he's playing it was like the then most recent album. And I am like, really? And then I turn my car on. I've got the CD in my car. I've never talked to him about it before, but sure enough, we both happen to have like the same that same taste in music there.
That's awesome.
It's moving. It's what it is. It's freaking moving, dude. It's incredible. And I'm glad we could be in a situation where that's happening, where you can have that shared interest, because it doesn't always happen, but when it does, holy damn, is it glorious. It's freaking glorious, man. I love it. So I obviously, Castor and I have been kind of fanboying out here, but Fenrir, what were your thoughts on this overall presentation and how this comic and this video looks like? What are your thoughts? I know obviously you're a foreigner, so obviously accessibility is a bit tougher for you, but what does this look like from the outside, your perspective?
Nick, I'm a very well-known heavy metal enjoyer. Hell, I grew up with Deathlock from Metalopocalypse growing up, and I can say this just looks straight up brutal, man. Looks sweet fun, and I'm all for it. Don't know if I'll be able to get much from it, but still, I'm all for it. That's my absolute support.
So should you come to America, should that day come, will this be one of the books you check out? Should you get to America?
Sure, why not?
There you go. I like that. Sabaton's 19th. Well, that's funny you say that. Not as much as Lemmy's, but okay. He's gonna say has the feels. Yeah, that Lemmy's. I mean, that's obviously an original Motorhead song, but yeah, to hone in on the energy, not even an energy, the mood. Sorry, I gotta correct myself here. The mood to do that is incredibly tough, because what Lemmy captured in that song, he doesn't normally do in a lot of songs. And for Lemmy to really capture it in that moment was incredible. And for those who haven't listened, you should. It's the title track off the Motorhead album 1916. It's the title track 1916. It's the last song. And yeah, Sabaton did a good cover of it. Obviously, for me, nothing beats home. But was it a good attempt at it? Yes. But man, what Lemmy capturing that song is great, because it's so unlike what he had done with his other songs. Even with his more moodier songs, Lemmy captured something a little extra different. And it helps that 1916 is one of my favorite Motorhead albums, period. But yeah, that's a front to back album. Like, if you want to go in the Nick Weiser catalog of front to back albums, Motorhead 1916 is one of those albums you should all be listening to. And given that title track at the end, it's a perfect album closer. And that's saying a lot, considering that the album opener comes out swinging. What's up, Garfield's Bizarre Adventure? Dude, we were just talking about Norfrica, man. We had a great conversation here about it. Actually, we have yet to have one our man speak on, so we're going to let him have it. Pablo, what are your thoughts on this overall presentation? Comic look and music and all that. Go ahead and have the floor, dude.
What I'm about to say is going to sound a bit cruel, but actually, I'm not only being realistic, I'm being optimistic. If the Rippaverse absolutely falls out of the rails, they fucked up, and the company goes belly up, they should keep this. They should actually expand. Rippa plus Dambask that will make as much, if not more, money than the Rippaverse. I'm not even joking. They have it. Just hear the notes, hear the rhythm, hear, dude, the vocals. Dan, I know Dan Basque is still recovering from the injury that he has in his hands. So I miss him playing the string because he was actually really good at it. But his vocals, god damn it, man. God damn it. And with Ripa and dude, it just it feels right. It feels like it was destined to be. But I don't know if they can go full throttle. They can go and do everything they need to do to expand this kind of music because it takes time. Just especially for live, just practicing. There's a couple uh, of points of the song that kinda go into a guitar solo ish. Is not really that I have seen people from Latin America trying something like that and failing. And you know that Latin America is huge on heavy metal, so
Oh, dude, Latin America is one of the most passionate continents on the planet when it comes to metal. I've said it before that the only time I've ever been called Fender, the only time I've ever been called a poser was by a Latin American metalhead when I was 16 or 17. And when that happened, it's because this kid who came to America, his name was Juan. I was in high school with him in junior year. He asked me a band about Stradivarius, and I didn't know who Stradivarius at the time was. He's like, "Oh, poser." Dude, yeah, he straight up, he won, like he didn't hold back. And I was just like, wow, so that's what it's like. I've been calling other dudes posers for years. I just got called that for my first time, and it hit so differently at the time when that happened. But I understood one's position, and then when I met this, I was one day 2015. I was at a hotel doing a hotel for a metal fest. And right across the whole hallway, I heard a loud room partying. I'm like, "Ooh, we should go knock on the door, see if they would let us in." And it was this group of dudes, all from Mexico City, and they let us into their room. And one of them was wearing a T-Rex outfit. I'm like, I think I found where the partiers are at. And we became friends with them instantly. It was like 2 or 3 a.m. at night, and we're all becoming parties with this also dude crew of Mexicans from Mexico City. Like, hey, we should go to a diner. So we went to a diner like 6 a.m. It was
Nick,
crazy.
you found your people.
Huh?
You found
Did I ever find my tribe that night? It was crazy. And talk to all those guys and see how dedicated like metal is. And then you go see like a band like Iron Maiden. And then, they do well in America, 20, 30,000 seaters, once in a while, 40,000 seaters. But when it comes to Latin America, 50, 60, sometimes 70,000 venues in Latin America, whether it's Argentina, Brazil. It's insane.
You have no idea, and I mean it. I have been in an Iron Maiden concert in my country. We almost destroyed the gate.
I believe it.
I was inside. We almost destroyed the gate. Because, people wanted in. And here in Ecuador, it's called El Portazo. El Portazo is when you literally destroy the gate, get in the concert, and everybody's happy. And you don't stop the concert because there's a Portazo. You make it harder. If you haven't bled on the mosh pit, and I know I have, I know everybody that is not, everybody that is worth their metalhead name have bled on the mosh pit, have left their cash in the mosh pit because, well, your wallet fell off, your shoe fell off, your hat fell off, your glasses fell off.
In my first mosh pit experience, I lost $50 I had in my pocket, and both of my hands were hurting the next day.
I have been kicked on the ear On the ear.
Dude, I
on
was
the
gonna
fucking
use those
ear.
$50.
And by
So
the way,
remember that day.
I was not on the ground. I was standing.
If you didn't lose brain cells or oxygen to your brain,
Dude, I couldn't move my arms for 3 days.
wait, what was that? Brain cells.
Dude, Garfield's Bizarre Adventure has a great cut. Rippa confirmed he is doing a Man of War cover collaboration. Dude, more please, more. They work well together vocally, and obviously Dan would sound great over Man of War. And I'm hoping that a few of those songs are from Kings of Metal, which is a fantastic Man of War album. Once again, chat, there's 10 of you here. Thank you, by the way. Write down the album Kings of Metal from Manowar. Write that down, whether it's physically on a pen and paper or on digital chat, whatever. Just write it down. Manowar, Kings of Metal. You can thank me later. And Dan Vest will thank you later. He agrees with me, by the way. We both agree. I've talked to Dan a few times behind the scenes. We're in agreement on how fantastic Manowar, Kings of Metal is. So please do yourself. Don't do it for me. Who gives a shit what I think? But do it for you. Listen to Kings of Metal. Bask in the flavors. Bask in the savors. Grab an oar. Grab your swords. And freaking go all in with the mighty greatness that is Manowar. Manowar kills. Ross the Boss, formerly a Manowar, key member of Manowar. He knows our corner of YouTube as well. He's a big fan of the Rageaholic himself. And I'm just saying, like, the Manowar guys are some of the realest guys. It's in my search bar. We'll check it. There you go, Garfield. Once again, do it for you, man. Whether it's for a workout or just to get a morning motivation, do it for you. Once again, I'm irrelevant. I'll say it. I'm straight up irrelevant. I just want you guys to get that experience, that 35, 40-minute experience of how great of an album it is. Go ahead, Pablo. You sound like you want to say something.
Yeah, I'm reading the credits on the song because I wanted to know who was on strings. I wanted to know who was on drums. Well, Dan Bask did the drums on computer. So okay, a bit disappointing because I want this to be a band, and a computer is not part of a band.
I'm okay with it because that means he can find a drummer for a full-on band. But go on.
Yeah, but I'm researching the guitarist. He recorded both strings, so electric and bass. And name is Garrett J. Peters. Keep him in the band. Just hire him for the band. And I mean it. When somebody can pull the strings in a way that feels right for the voice, and trust me, on metal, especially on guttural, the sound that Dan Bask has when he is going full on his throat. God, that sounds terrible. But yeah, is a tone that you have to follow. You don't adjust that easily. At least as far as I have experience in a long time going to metal concerts, is sometimes the guitar feel off when you go into guttural, when you start to do that sound, because it feels like it's either a lower key or a higher key, or they are speeding too much and the coarse sound of the throat is going slower and it doesn't yell, right? Here, it follows.
Maybe it was programmed so it followed that way. That could have been the thing. If you're smart about it, you can make it follow that way. You have to be, because I know a guy in Wisconsin who's a one-man band where he does the guitar, bass, drums, but when he performs live, he plays his guitar and does the vocals, and he has a bass and drum like backing tracks. He's a one-man band. So he has those things as the backing tracks, and he times it out so that it follows in a perfect beat, not to make it sound like fake. But once again, you got to know how to utilize it. If you know how to utilize it, it can work. Obviously, I wouldn't call it an ideal situation because it's always good to have a full-on band. But he sticks being a one-man band because it can help him have his own creative direction without having the input of others trying to take over his own back. Because he's one of those guys where he's the singer, he's a songwriter, he's the composer, and he wants it just to be his vision. He also knows what his fans like, and his goal is to keep it to what his fans want. So because he knows what his fans want, he leans in on that very heavily, and he doesn't want to stray away from that.
Yes.
Because he knows that's what his fans respond to. Now, should the market take a corner, big, hey, you need to do a drummer? I think he'd probably do it.
No, if you
But
are
his audience knows what works for his band, so they stick with his one-man band.
if you are a small one man band, it makes sense because that's what you need to be able to play. Yeah, but here, because of it's a duet, obviously, and a duet, especially when you have two voices that deal so good, you also expect to hear them live because, well, that's the real test. The real test for a voice, for a good metal singer, is not on record, is live. Because that's when your throat gives up. That's when some tones don't reach perfectly. Because you cannot redo. You cannot try to make it twice or as many times as you need to for the take to be worth it. You have to go all out. And the best metal singers, they don't drop a beat.
No, it's the timing is hugely important to them, and a lot of them take that very seriously.
And
Tonalities can be forgiven when there's a mess up, but when the beat is followed, a lot is forgiven when the beat is followed. Even if the tonality is slightly off, the beat is a very big forgiver when they can follow the timing.
Where I'm going is that I want a live version of this. I want to see a future where they go in a stage and they actually play the song. But I say play, no, not sing. Why? Because I want the part of the experience is the guitar, is the bass, is having the drums. And sometimes not even just that. You also have wind instruments in the mix. Because sometimes you require it. Let's say, for example, a perfect example, Iron Maiden. Some songs, they need a flute. Why? It's part of the mysticism, of the ambience of the song. And that needs to be live. If it's not live, it feels cheap. And I don't want to be, I want this to be great because it feels great.
I appreciate those closing thoughts. Okay, it's gonna be our last topic for the night. We're gonna do this, and then we're gonna call it a night. So, the Phantom is officially a go at Mad Cave Studios. I'm excited. We will be covering this when it comes out the week of. I'll probably do a video review for it on this channel as well. The Phantom #1 this September. We are all clamoring for it on the panel, and ask and you shall receive. I'm going to read this really quickly. The newspaper strip here. The Phantom, who predates Superman, is back in a new monthly series from indie publisher Mad Cave Studios this fall. The world's first superhero is back, and Mad Cave Studios has him. The Phantom is returning to comics this September in an all-new series, reborn, renewed, and with a new sense of purpose in today's world, almost a century after his first appearance.
Sorry for the interruption, but it's actually really needed. He's not the first superhero to begin with. One, he does not have superpowers or mystical powers. That would be the right definition. Until
wait, does he technically speak to animals?
Later, other versions of the Phantom. The original version of the Phantom doesn't have that much mysticism, and he's not he's not a superhero on the definition of the word. That sounds pedantic. Is really important in this context. Second, if you are going for superhero, the first one will be Gilgamesh. So you are a couple of dozen years wrong there. That will be it. Sorry, I needed to be pedantic. This is really specific. He's not a superhero, and superheroes come from, well, Babylonia.
All right. So, originally debuting as a newspaper strip from Lee Falk in February 1936, which means he predated Superman as a costume prime fire by a couple of years. King features syndicates. The Phantom wasn't just the first comic strip here to wear a skin-tight costume, as future superheroes would. He was also the first to wear a mask that hid his pupils from the world, as would also go on to become superhero standard. This pulp hero is closer to Batman than a Man of Steel, however. He's gotten his superpowers instead of relying on his wits, his natural physical abilities, and the 2 handguns he has attached to his hips. Since his debut in the papers, the Phantom has appeared on big screen. He had a movie series in 43 and a feature film in 96 that's worth tracking down, and comic books, having been published by both DC and Marvel across the decades. Now he's back in a new comic book series from indie publisher Mad Cave with creators Ray Fox and pulp illustrator Russell Olson at the wheel, following on from the revival of the character with the Free Comic Book Day Phantom Zero release. Seeing the incredibly positive reaction to the FCBD issue of the Phantom only got me even more excited to take part in making this series happen. Fox said in a statement from the publisher, "The Phantom and all of his supporting cast have such an unbridled sense of fun and adventure that I can't help but love them all. I feel like readers will see that on every page." It almost sounds like he's enthusiastic to write about this comic. Imagine that. From longtime fans, see how he spelled fans, P-H-A-N-S,
Yep.
to first-time readers, the responses I've received for the FCBD issue have been overwhelming, agreed Olson. I couldn't be more thrilled to be working with Ray and the whole crew at Mad Cave to deliver a great Phantom book. I love pulp storytelling and swashbuckling adventure, and there's no better character in comics to explore those things than the Ghost Who Walks. I'm jazzed for the new series. They won't have to wait long to see it. The Phantom #1 will be released September 1st. Here's how Mad Cave describes the first issue. When a violent gang of smugglers stumbles on an idyllic Bandar village, the peace that the Phantom has brought to the African nation of Bengala will suddenly shatter. It will take all of the Phantom's many skills and allies to restore it. The most exciting series of the year starts here. And guys, it's cover A, cover B from Kane and White, as well from Rippaverse.
That one, dude, that's a callback.
And then I know this one. This was a runner-up for me. B and then C. C is incredible. And there's D. That D is good too. I'll say it. D is good as well. I'll say it, man.
That's also a callback, and there's a poster like that.
Oh, so anyways, I'll be quick here. I'm looking for this. I'm heavily looking for this. I'm stoked. I'm anticipating this. I can't wait to do a video and a stream about this the same way I will be doing about Norfrica.
Did you notice? No,
I don't have much else to say besides I'm fucking stoked. Pablo, take it away.
Okay, on this cover, just on this cover, no strips on the belt. Perfect. No strips on the trousers. Depending on who you ask, if you are a really, really purist, that's not good. If you are from my era where we had a little more of material, yeah, that's it. That's great. That looks perfect. The school is perfect. This is a callback. They know what they are doing, and I cannot be more happy about this. This is it. The Phantom is not difficult to get. The Phantom is difficult to continue.
Well, the thing is, this is of all the characters we've talked about on this show, like the Phantom is the one you have been the most passionate about, Pablo.
Yeah, and that's saying something because we still haven't really talked about the question that at one point maybe. Let's think about it. It's not for everybody, but there's a couple of. But the Phantom, man, the Phantom is from deep in my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
is from when I was little, and I will read just newspaper scraps because there was not a compilation. I think it was from my father's. I don't know. It was on my grandfather's storage room. A bunch of books, a bunch of shit, and there were scraps of the Phantom from the newspapers, obviously in Spanish. And going from that and watching the TV series, and when the movie came out, the Phantom is a really important figure on my childhood, on my development of consciousness around heroes and around these kind of characters. And this is more like a spy thriller, but is well, not everything, but a lot of it is during the conquistador era. So you have a lot of deep political analysis of that era that you the same with the Zorro. With the Zorro you can do that because you are in the perfect time frame to don't sound preachy but still point to the shit that was happening. And then you go to the movie that is, well, same for my taste, but it still goes ham. And the animated series is wonderful.
I love the animated series. I haven't watched it in a while, but I love it. Love it.
I will say that one and the Silver Surfer TV series are my favorite comic book animated adaptations. I will say even over the Spider-Man animated series.
It just really goes to show you just how much surprising work is coming out of Mad Cave Comics. They've quickly grown over the last like year and a half. They've quickly grown and become one of my favorite comic companies of today.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right. So I got to acknowledge really quickly Garfield, take care, man. Please check out Manowar. You'll love it. The Phantom is not, maybe he was, but currently he's part of Mad Cave, Jonathan Conroy. All right. We're going to blaze through Fenrir and Caster. Thank you, Pablo. I'm glad you're stoked. We will be talking about this. We'll be having a few conversations on this. Fenrir, quick thoughts on this.
I'll be realistic with you, gentlemen. I'm not extremely well versed in the Phantom. I know he is. I've seen the movies, I've seen the cartoons, and I've recently got a collection of his old serial books, so I got those to get through. And he's an interesting character, and I'm looking forward for this comic book. At the moment, that's the best I can give. I apologize to be so short.
No, you're good, man. I appreciate your forthcoming honesty. Well, then we'll bring on the Caster, and then we're gonna wrap it up and call it a night. So, Caster, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, I'm actually kind of in a similar boat with Fenrir. The Phantom's a character who I've never really had a ton of exposure to. I must admit, I've not even seen the Billy Zane movie, which I'm gonna have to rectify.
It's good.
I
like
but from the free comic book day comic I read, I like the character, and it's beckoning back to that kind of that pulp era of heroes and time that I do enjoy, like that kind of quasi 1920s, 1930s time frame. Like a character like this is perfect for that time.
Absolutely.
And plus, we need more heroes that can kind of be of their own time.
I agree. It's a good time for these type of characters to be popping up and taking off the pulpier type of cares.
Man, I don't know if you have noticed that some of the characters that I gravitate towards a lot are not super powered, are more the mentally challenging books to read, not the just pow pow books to read. And that sounds horrible because I love the pow pow books, but there's something about Batman, there's something about the question, there's something, even Zorro has some good comics where he goes more into the thinking than the beating. And the Phantom is that is actually the source of that. A lot of the other comics take from the Phantom, take from that mysticism of being just a guy that is fighting with this amazing persona, this otherworldly persona that just creates fear. Think Batman. Batman does that. Batman is that. The question, he's not having face, is part of that, is part of making the opponent uncomfortable in a way, taking that human element and becoming something more. But it's just a smart move. It's not a superpower. So when they defeat the bad guy, it feels earned.
Okay. Well, I think it's safe to say, normie or not, we're excited on the Phantom. Spider-Man TAS comic has skepticism. The Phantom and Norfrica have enthusiasm. Fantastic 451 has stood the test of time and always will. Well, that's gonna be the part where we wrap it up, dudes. Chat, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to hang out with us for the last 2 hours. It is appreciated. If you haven't, please check out my latest video. It bombed super hard. I'll just be upfront and say it did. In terms of views, it seems like for the 5 people who watched it, they liked it. But if you haven't watched it, do give it a watch. If you haven't even watched later tab, but then gravy, better late than never. But this will wrap. Just watch out the show. In case you missed what we talked earlier with Spider-Man, this kind of covers all the bases there on it on Spider-Man the Animated Series. So do check it out. I'll have another video out soon. I'm actually already thinking ideas, so that's a good sign. Videos again. We'll be back here next week. And of course, Toxic Tuesday will be, as I have said, it is now a Rumble exclusive because that's what we do now. Rumble exclusive because that show has too much toxicity and controversy that, well, YouTube just makes problems out of it. So we just removed them from the equation. We'll be talking Val Kilmer's Real Genius on there next week. So that's what's coming up on my neck of the woods between YouTube and Rumble. Thank you guys once again for your time and enthusiasm. I hope you all have a magical evening. I'll let these gentlemen quickly plug their plugs on the way out, starting with Pablo.
Hey, more videos on Minasech, and we are doing a show on Minasech Español where it's called La Tangente. Is 6 p.m. Thursdays, 6 p.m. Pacific time, by the way. And this week was really weird because we had a fight on air about my best friend says that he was never affected by publicity. I forgot to remind him on stream that he actually bought not only Cyberpunk on launch day, he bought a console to play Cyberpunk on launch day. It was his only game for the console. So, yeah, buddy, you have been affected by publicity. Anyway, dude, having two best friends talking shit to each other a couple of hours can go so crazy so many times. And I'm enjoying it a lot. It's just absolute madness. So yeah, check it out if you have time. That will be it. It was great going back. I have read 3 times this month Fantastic Four number 51. I don't regret a second of that.
Good.
It's
good.
Yeah. Obviously talking of it with you guys and well just going through a comic that our dear friend loved is something special to me. So guys, it's just great being here.
Well, thanks for being here, Pablo. Appreciate your time and energy and knowledge and enthusiasm. And Real Genius, greatest movie of all time. DEBUTS going to be a guest on that. He's never been on Toxic Tuesday. I can't believe it's been taking this long. but I can't wait to have him on for it. It's going to be freaking amazing. D-Bud, I can't wait. I'm stoked about having you on for it, dude. It's going to be diabolically huge. Thank you, sir. Yeah, it's going to be such a fun show, especially since the kid gloves are going to be off from beginning to end. All right. And then the Tetrarch of Apathy says, coming during the outro, looking for the replay. God bless you all and good night. And God bless you all and good night to you, sir. Thank you for catching the replay. Fenrir, plug your plugs really quick. Maybe he fell asleep. Ironcaster.
Well, guys, you can find me over my channel on Monday nights from the Mech Pit Chat, where we talk about big robots and a little bit of Warhammer and all sorts of stuff in the mix. Maybe I got some old plastic models of paint. Maybe I'll do a random paint stream here or there. But guys, as always, it has been a ton of fun. You can find me over tomorrow, I think, over with T-shirt Historian for the Week in Geek, where we may not, in fact, be talking about Wizards of the Coast for once, but rather another popular tabletop company, Darrington Press, aka the publishing partner for One Critical Role in Matt Mercer's whole super popular live stream. And basically they basically seemingly stabbed the fans in the back. We'll get into it, find out.
A lot of that going around.
But guys, as always, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you to all of you guys for taking the time to hang out with us tonight out there in the YouTube land. And thank you to you guys on the panel, because this is the best way to unwind after a long, hard week.
Well, thanks for being here, Caster. Appreciate it. Thanks for being here. We're going to call this a evening. Chat, thank you again for supporting Clobby's Comic Shop. We'll be back for
Sigzion, people. Sigzion.
Next week. Goodbye, good fight, good night.
I smell horse shit. It's horrible, but I can smell it.